all plays. Like, all sports all plays. All sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports all plays.
Oh, you money.
No, don't play it. Come on, let's go.
All right, everybody. It's good to be here. It's good to be back for another episode of Unscripted. As you can see, we got my boy, Dustin Reese, otherwise known as the Stat Guy. Also got our boy, Gonzo, Chris Gonzalez in the house. And we got, as always, your boy, fresh-faced, Atlanta Braves ready, Logan Landers. Gonzo, say what's up to the people.
Hey, what's up, people? Got a big show tonight. A lot of stuff going on in the sports world.
Yes,
nice to see Stat Guy joined us.
Yes, sir.
Logan, say what's up to the people.
What up? We got a huge show tonight. A lot of topics, a lot of sports. Happy to see that boy Dustin coming on the show. Chris, you're continuing the streak. We'll call it now. Coming on the show.
Sure.
And Jay, I told you before we went on air, I'm expecting flawlessness from behind the scenes in production. So far, so good.
Yeah, I had one flaw, but it's okay.
I'll let it slide.
Yeah. You gotta let stuff slide. I can't all be like Gonzo and you, man. Okay, some of us got flaws. We're not perfect.
We'll get you there.
Dustin, Stat Guy, say what's up to the people, and thank God you're here.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on.
It is good to have you on, my brother. Hey, real quick, before we get into the actual first slide, I just want to talk about real quick that it was something that just came up available today. I didn't get a chance to make a slide for it, but I did want to mention it because it is big news, I think. Khalil Mack goes from the Bears to the Chargers in exchange for a 2022 second-rounder and a 2023 sixth-rounder. Khalil Mack, as you know, is about 31 years of age, and he's reuniting with his former linebacker coach, Brandon Staley. Now I believe he is the coach of the Chargers, and under Staley, he had 12 and a half sacks his first season, which was amazing in Chicago. And I think he's going to get teamed up with Joey Bosa, so that should be pretty awesome. And 3 seasons are left on his contract. Gonzo, what do you think about that?
I love this move for the Chargers. They needed some defensive help, and like you said, you have Bosa on the field, and then you had a guy like Mack that can still play as long as he can stay healthy. I really like this for the Chargers.
Absolutely. And it just continues to make that division pretty tight. Logan, what do you think?
My God, the AFC West is getting more and more stacked, like we said. I mean, you now have 2 of probably the top 5, I would say, pass rushers in the league with Bosa and with Mack on the same team. Plus, you got Justin Herbert and that amazing offense that the Chargers have. They might be a sleeper pick this year, guys. So watch out for them. They might have something to prove this year in the West.
And, of course, we're going to round this topic up with our boy Stat Guy. Stat Guy, what do you think about this Khalil Mack and going to the Chargers?
Well, it's a big move by the Chargers because it beefs up their defense, and you get another premier pass rusher to pair with Bosa. But when you look at the Bears and the return they got, a 6th-round pick, and I think it was a 2nd or a 3rd-round pick. I mean, that goes to show you how far Mack has fallen. When you look at what the Raiders – or what the Bears had to give up to the Raiders to get him in the first place, and now what the Chargers gave the Bears on the exchange, that shows you how far Mack has fallen in just 3 years.
I totally agree with you, and I feel like Khalil Mack is pretty much he's still in his prime. I think he's kind of coming to the end of his prime, but he's still got at least 1 or 2 more years, I think, left that he can be, productive under the right system, and especially going with Brandon Staley, his former linebacker coach. We had 12.5 sacks. I think the guy can. I think he put up 6 sacks in 21. So I think he can get back to where he was. He just needs to be in the right system, and being on the opposite side of Joey Bosa, I think is only going to help him.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jay.
So.
I don't think he can get back to his defensive player of the year stats anymore, but I still think he's a guy that can give
He'll
you
be a solid threat.
9 to 10 sacks when you're paired with Bosa, because now you can't double team Bosa anymore because you got to worry about Mac.
Right.
Exactly. And I think it's like a Von Miller type of situation where Von Miller, the Rams got Von Miller, towards the end of his career. And Von Miller was still productive. He was still doing great things. Even in the Super Bowl, he was doing great things. And I think kind of like Khalil Mack can do something along those lines. He's not like you say, he's not the apex, but I think Khalil Mack can still be beneficial to a team that needs defensive run-stopping power.
No doubt.
All right, folks. Go ahead, Stat Guy.
Is it going to matter in the end unless Brandon Staley decides to take field goals instead of going for it on 4th down? It's not going to matter what defensive help they bring in.
That's a great point.
We've been kind of tossing this subject around here a little bit on other shows, and we're talking about Calvin Ridley being suspended a year for gambling. And there was a lot of good points that have been brought up about this, and I know we were going to talk about this yesterday, but we wanted to kind of dive into it a little bit deeper, so we made it a whole little subject matter here. When I think of Calvin Ridley, like I said earlier, there's a lot of inconsistencies in the NFL. We all know that there's inconsistencies in the NFL. I think the biggest inconsistency that the NFL is putting out there is the fact that, and when we talked about this earlier, is the fact that they have DraftKings commercials once a quarter for the game. So you got 4 betting commercials in the game, and yet they're still saying, don't bet on games to the players. And it's almost like they say the double standard. I personally don't think gambling should be allowed by the players. I just don't. I think it's such a bad tone. I think it's more about the perception of the game than anything else. I think it's just such a bad perception issue. Me personally, I don't have a problem with the year suspension. I just don't. I think he knew what he signed up for. He did it anyway, and you just get what you get. But at the same time, the NFL also has issues with other, instances like we were talking about earlier. All the rape allegations, all the domestic violence allegations, and yet those guys got far less than a 1-year suspension. And like I was telling them earlier, I think the NFL has a lot of work. I think Roger Goodell has a lot of work. I think Roger Goodell is on. And we need a brand new commissioner that's going to come in and reset the tables on punishments. And I think it needs to be one punishment for that all the way across the board. Just one punishment. Look, if you screw up, this is what you're going to get the first go around. You screw up a second time, you get this go around. You screw up the third time, then it just is an indefinite suspension. But they need to be consistent with their punishments all across the board. Gonzo, what do you think about that?
No, I agree. The players. I understand the rule. The players can't gamble on the games because you have to keep the integrity of the game. I didn't agree with the full year suspension. I was thinking he'd get more like 8 games, but I also understand why the league came down on him as hard as they did. But that's the problem with the NFL. Like you're saying, there is no consistency in their punishments for different violations. It's
right.
One thing. It's just like whatever Goodell feels like giving that day is what he does. There's no consistency to it.
I agree. And Stat Guy has a really good take on this, and I'm gonna save him for last. I'm gonna save that take for last. And I think because he also brought this up. And we'll say, Logan, how you feel about that?
Man, this is crazy, right? And I mean, in the day that was Monday or Tuesday this broke, that's when a lot of stuff happened in the sports world. And this, it started off hot in the morning, and then it kind of got slipped under the rug. That later that night with everything going on with baseball, also the big trades in football we'll get to in a little bit. But I'm with you, Jay, in a way of, yes, there is a very big sense of hypocrisy with the NFL encouraging gambling to its fans by having on Fox, the get Terry Bradshaw's $100,000 or whatever predicting the games, the DraftKings stuff, everywhere you see. I mean, on ESPN, I think 2 or 3, they have the Vegas odds across the ticker everywhere for you to look at.
Absolutely.
And for Calvin Ridley, right, he wasted $1,500 in exchange for the 11 or 12 million he would have gotten this year. So was it worth it? No, not at all. He wasn't with the Falcons a lot this year, stepped away for mental health reasons. And it happened right around the time that he was popped for doing this. So it was early November, I believe, the November 5th. I think it happened throughout an entire week where he was betting on the Falcons, his team, as well as other games in the league, which you can't do that. You just can't. I mean, you can go back all the way, Jay, to back with, Shoeless Joe Jackson and them rigging the World Series, right? That's always the big one people look at. And I know the Falcons weren't the greatest team this year, but nonetheless, you're still betting, you're still putting money on the line that you think that your team is going to win. And I get he wasn't playing for them at the time, but still, I mean, who's to say, right? Who's to say that he couldn't have texted Matt Ryan or Kyle Pitts or whoever on his Falcons team saying, hey, I got a little money on this game. Can you get a couple more passes to him to this game? We don't know this. You're right. This is all speculation. But I don't think it should have been for a year. I get this doesn't happen very often in the NFL. I feel like there should be, like Gonzo said, there's other crimes committed by players such as domestic violence, sexual assault, et cetera, that have gotten far less suspension games than they should have. And I feel that for this one, they're trying to kind of set a mark of, look, if you do this, then we are not going to play around. We're going to suspend you for a whole season without pay. And, it shows this, it shows the Falcons, it shows Calvin Ridley and the rest of the other players and teams in the NFL that we're not messing around. As for the Falcons, they had chances to trade Ridley, that they knew this was going to happen. Teams were inquiring about him, but they were not going to pull the trigger. They were not going to trade him. And so what that tells me is that the Falcons and Ridley have a stronger relationship than what people might think, because there are rumors that he might leave, that, with him, there were some people saying that whenever he took that mental health sabbatical, that he was just fed up with the team, whatever. Well, it tells me that the Falcons trust him. They, that they are not going to give up on this guy. And if I'm Ridley, if I'm him personally, I would give the Falcons another chance, because his contract's going to be up at the end of this year, I believe. And I would still give him an extension. If he can come back and prove, I would give him like a 1, maybe a 2-year deal. And if it works out, great, because he is a very talented wide receiver. Let's not forget that. But just everything that the Falcons organization, Arthur Blank, have done to help him throughout this entire situation, I think that more weighs into it than on the field production. So overall, really crazy scenario, and it's going to hurt the Falcons this year, man, because it's basically going back to last year where it's just Kyle Pitts and a bunch of other guys. So expect them to look for a wide receiver in the draft, I would think.
All right, Stat Guy. I know we were on this morning show. You had a really good way of addressing this in terms of how you think they should be punished. Why don't you go ahead and elaborate on that on Unscripted for us and tell me what you think.
Yeah, obviously Calvin Ridley should have been suspended just because of the integrity of the game and what Logan was saying. Who knows if he wasn't talking to some of his teammates to do a certain play here, a certain play there to help him win that bet. In terms of the year suspension, I don't think he should have got suspended for the year. But the take that I gave on the morning show was, why not suspend him 1 game for every game that he placed the bet on? That way you're kind of setting a precedent where everyone knows that betting's not allowed, but if you're going to do it, you face a suspension. So if you want to bet 1 game, then you sit 1 game. If you want to bet 12, you sit 12. That way it's kind of the same punishment across the board. It just varies depending on how many times you want to bet.
Right. And to tap into what he's saying, I'm okay with that. Whether it be a year or whether it be, a suspension for every time you gamble, whatever. But here's a deal that I think should happen. And I don't know if this is the case or not. Maybe you guys can enlighten me. But at the beginning of every season, or even in their contract, there should be a list of punishments. Hey, if you do this crime, it's this. If you do this, it's this. It should be labeled all the way down. Okay, and then every player should sign off on it, and it should be kept in their files. So if they do something, they can't say, "Well, I didn't know I was going to get a year for gambling. You didn't tell me that, or I didn't know I was going to get, a game for." there needs to be something in writing that these guys sign so that they can't say, well, this is too severe. This is this or this is that. Because I think that if you know going into if you do this is what it's going to levy against you, then it just is what it is. Because the player put himself in that situation.
Well, see, that's the problem, though. They signed that collective bargaining agreement where they gave Goodell the power to be the one that decides what the repercussions are.
And I get that. And I think that's something they should go back and revisit.
And if you think about it, I mean, look, Major League Baseball banned Pete Rose for life.
Right.
Yeah.
For betting on games.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's a good point.
I mean, I guess the season ain't really, if you look at it that way, the season is really not that long.
Yeah, it could be. Hey, like I said, look at Pete. Look what Pete meant to base. And here's the deal, though. I do want to make sure, and I can't say if Pete betted as a player, but we know that he betted as a coach.
Right.
Yeah,
as a coach for his team.
I don't know, guys. It's to me, I do think Pete Rose belongs in the Hall of Fame, just like Barry Bonds. Let them all in. But in terms of suspensions, you're right. Pete got a lifetime, and this guy only got a season.
The only reason why another reason why I have an issue with the year is mainly because sports betting is allowed now. It's not allowed in every single state, but it is allowed in a lot of states now. So it's not like he's doing anything illegal. Right. According to obviously the rules and the contract, you're not allowed to bet, but it's not like he's doing anything illegal. He's doing something that's been allowed now for a while. So from that side of things, that's why I kind of think the punishment's a little tough. But at the same time, they're using him as an example to try to make sure it doesn't happen again.
And my thing with that, though, Dustin, is this. If I am a gambler, and I don't have inside information as to what they're going to do, then it hurts me. But it could be helping somebody else out. And that's where the issue is. It has to be a full-on integrity type of thing. And I think that's why I think even though gambling may be allowed in some states, you still can't have gambling going on within the sports themselves because now it's almost like you're insider trading. And if you know if you insider trade during the stock market, where do you go? To jail.
Yep.
That's what they sent you for insider trading, insider information. You get sent to jail if you're caught doing it. Just saying. And we'll move on. But hey, at the end of the day, man, hey, he got a year. Hopefully, he just does his year. And I hope that if there is other players that are betting on games, I hope they see the Calvin Ridley situation and it stops the gambling. And they're like, you know what, Calvin really got a year.
Hey,
I'm not going to do this anymore because you know what, I don't want to get suspended a year. That's what I hope the takeaway is.
Hey Jay, do you think that he will appeal it? Because he can try to appeal.
Yeah,
that's what Anthony Price is saying in the comments here.
Yeah, he will appeal it, and he will appeal it, and he will win. But he'll appeal it, and he will win the appeal. I just don't know how long he'll get.
Yeah, I definitely. My comments are still not working. I definitely think that he'll appeal it. I would appeal it for crying out loud. So if I'm going to appeal it, I would expect him to appeal it.
He might get it dwindled down to, I don't know, 10 games, 8 games if they're being generous. But I don't think that he's going to be there for the whole year.
No, I think he'll get 8.
Yeah, I feel like 8 would be fair, half the season, and then have him come back in the second half. Well, that's Sandra.
I agree with that. That's what I thought they should have done to begin with.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And, we'll see where it goes from here. Hopefully, like I said, people take it to heart and they learn from this. And if they are doing it, they stop doing it. So that way we don't have to, see more suspensions like this occur, right? I mean, hopefully, Calvin will come back next year. He'll be rested. He won't be injured. And hopefully he'll be ready to go for the season. And we can just move on from this experience. And we're going to talk about Wentz. Let's talk a little Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, as you know, was traded to the Washington Commanders for a third-round pick in 2022 and 2023. The difference is the 2023 pick can become a second-round pick if Carson Wentz plays 70% of the snaps, which is interesting because that was the same thing they said about Carson Wentz when he went to the Indianapolis Colts, and he had to play 70% of the snaps in order for that one pick to be upgraded. So it's kind of interesting how they carried that over. And they also swapped second-round picks in 2022. So the Colts moved up from 47 to 42, and that's where that currently is. Washington will pay the full $28 million plus the bonus to Carson Wentz, and that's where the trade goes. The question was asked earlier, and I'll ask it to you guys. Does Carson Wentz make Washington Commanders the favorite now in the East, or is it still a Dallas-led division? And I believe it's still a Dallas-led division. I don't know if Carson Wentz completely changes the scenario. Gonzo, what do you think?
Oh, man. I hate this move by the Colts, but on Washington's side, I think it makes Washington better, but I'm not going to say it makes them the preseason favorite. I still think Dallas is going to go into the season as the favorite, but I do think it makes Washington better. I think Wentz is better than Heineke, and Wentz is going to have some better receivers than he's had in his career to actually throw the ball to.
Yeah,
I think it could be a good fit for Carson Wentz.
Logan?
Yeah, I think it's an upgrade by the Commanders. I mean, what are the Colts going to do for quarterback? You know, it's not like I get Carson Wentz didn't have the best, late season run, but
that's what I'm saying. I don't understand.
I mean, overall, if you look at it, he had a decent season. It wasn't like he was throwing 45 picks and only 5 touchdowns. He was
second fewest interceptions in his career.
Exactly. He had a good year. It's just he had a rough, last game or two. And I mean, do you really think the Colts are going to move up in the draft and get somebody? Because I mean, we've said it here many times, but it's not like the draft has a lot of strong quarterbacks this year. I mean, there's maybe 1 or 2 guys you can look at and say, okay, this guy could be pretty good. But I mean, the Colts are a team that you would think would be trying to contend, and I wouldn't want a rookie quarterback under helm. I'd want someone like Carson. I don't know. This is going to be their 5th quarterback in 5 years, I believe. Gonzo. So, I mean, I don't know what the Colts are doing. I don't know. I don't understand this trade. I think it's a big win for the Commanders, starting off the new franchise with a experienced quarterback, a guy who's won a lot. And like you said, he's getting some really good weapons with McLaurin. And I think that, Washington, their defense flat out sucked last year when it should have been a lot better. But I think this definitely does help, and it is an upgrade over Taylor Heineke.
Okay, stat guy?
All I can say is the Colts must really believe in Jacob Eason if they made this move. Otherwise, I don't know what they are thinking at this point.
Jacob Eason.
Yeah, Jacob.
No.
But
or Sam Ellinger, either one of them. I don't believe in either one of them.
They were late round picks, though. That's I don't get.
But I guess what quarterback on the market right now is even better than Wentz? I don't see them trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't see them trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't see them trading for Kirk Cousins or Derek Carr.
Right.
Jameis Winston makes a ton of sense given that he's going to be a lot cheaper. But I see Jameis Winston landing back in New Orleans. So I don't really understand what the Colts are thinking unless they see somebody in the draft that they really like based off of the combine and whatnot that they want to go after. Otherwise, this just might be one of those. They kind of got to where they felt they could get with Carson Wentz, and now this is more of a retooling year where they're willing to kind of take the bumps and bruises, maybe go through a little bit of a struggle of a season and try to get a better draft pick next year to maybe draft a franchise quarterback.
The true Spanish God, as he likes to be called, has said that Carson Wentz has better weapons with Washington. I don't necessarily think so because last time I checked, Jonathan Taylor is better than Gibson. Right. The other one, I will say this.
Receivers are better.
Exactly.
Receiver-wise, yes.
Okay, no. Wait now. Receiver. No? Okay, receiver. They got one good wideout. One good top.
One decent wideout.
But I think
people I can't stay on the field and Pittman.
I get it. That's what I'm saying. That's where you get it because Indianapolis, like you said earlier on the list show, they don't have a true number one. They have a decent number 2, but they don't have a true number 1. And I think that's the slight edge to Carson. But I don't think that one true number 1 is going to be enough for them to overtake Dallas. Like Anthony Price seems to think that Washington and the Eagles are going to come out of the East, and I just don't think that's the case.
Washington has a decent run game as well.
Yeah, and that's why Wentz was so successful with the Colts was because he had Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
Pressure wasn't on him. He literally sat there, turned around 30 times a game, and let Jonathan Taylor do his thing.
Pretty much.
And I'll tell you though, at the end of the day, I really feel like Dallas. I wouldn't mind seeing Dallas go after a guy like Ridley because I know we were talking about that earlier. But I know Ridley. He's not a free agent. I mean, he's still under contract, correct?
He's got 2 years left, I think.
Yeah, he still has about 2 years left. So Dallas would have to trade somebody in order to bring in a Calvin Ridley. So I don't think that's going to happen. But I would like to see Dallas go after what's his name?
Wagner?
The one from Seattle, Bobby Wagner.
Bobby
Wagner in a minute. But I wouldn't mind seeing Dallas go after a Bobby Wagner. Okay, so we're going to move on here real quick. We're going to talk about Bobby Wagner, who is now on the market. This is my thing. I think Dallas needs another run-stopping guy up the middle. Our secondary, yes, it does need another one, but I feel like in our secondary, we should be able to address that in the draft. But I think what I would like to see, you got Micah Parsons, who you can kind of have use the pressure of the quarterback. But I wouldn't mind seeing a Bobby Wagner come in and to clog up the middle to help stop on the run defense. Because I know our run defense can be suspect at times. How do you guys feel about Bobby Wagner overall?
I mean, he's been a solid player. Yeah. I mean, he's been a solid player. He's a little bit up there in age. I mean, I feel like you can get him on a pretty cheap contract and he can contribute, kind of like what the Cardinals did with J.J. Watt. But I don't think he's going to be, the guy we saw 5+ years ago. I think he'll be a solid kind of a locker room leader and decent on the field. But right. I mean, I'm sad to see him go from Seattle, man, because that whole era is now completely done. But they're in rebuild mode, so it is what it is. What do you think, Stat Guy?
I absolutely love.
Uh-oh. We lost Stat Guy.
Oh no!
He'll come back. Hey, Chris. Hey, guys, what do you think about Stat? What do you think about Stat Guy? Hey, what do you think?
He took a break. He said, "I'll be right back."
Oh, did he? Okay. But here's what I think about Bobby Wagner, though, too. Dan Quinn was his coordinator in Seattle when they were the Legion of Boom.
That's true.
So I wouldn't mind seeing. I think it's very plausible that could happen. What do you think, Lo? Do you think it's plausible that Dan Quinn talks to Jerry and says, "Hey, let's go after Bobby"?
That ain't a bad idea because you said that y'all need some linebacking help. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. We need linebacking help because they had Vander Esch, but he's not under contract. But Vander Esch isn't exactly a run-stopping guy anyway. He didn't really do that well last year.
Also, Sanders saying Wagner came off a 130+ tackle year. I don't want my linebackers to get 130+ tackles, Jay. That means they're getting past the defensive line.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm saying. No doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt, Sander. No doubt. But all I'm saying is he's still a good player. And I think that, like Anthony Price said, he'd go to the Ravens, the Chiefs, or out there in L.A. He'll definitely get scooped up really quick. And like I said, I still see him contributing. Not getting 130 tackles, but I still see him being a very good, solid linebacker. Also, we got our boy Stat Guy back in. So what are your thoughts on this, my friend? Well, at least that's what he said in our private chat, Jay. Am I going crazy?
I got to bring him in.
Oh, you got to bring him in? Okay.
Yeah, that's my fault. That's my production error. Hold on.
We'll throw him back in here, and he can give his hot
There we go.
There we go.
So I absolutely love Bobby Wagner, and I mean the guy's had 100 tackles or more every single year but one. And what you were saying that you don't want your linebackers to have 100 tackles, how many defensive linemen in the game actually get 100 tackles? Defensive linemen are usually kind of in that 40 to 50 tackle range because their primary job is to get after the quarterback and stop the run. The one team that I think is going to make a run at Bobby Wagner, ironically, is the Green Bay Packers, and it pains me to say that. And the main reason why I say that is you have Zadarius Smith, who's supposed to get, $19 million this year? Packers are not going to pick up that $19 million deal or $19 million option on Zadarius Smith, which leaves an opening for linebacker, and Bobby Wagner fits the Packers perfectly.
Now, Bobby's contract, the last one he came off of was about $16 million. What do you think the Packers offer him?
I could see the Packers giving him a 3-year deal around 24.
So about 3 years, $24 million. That'd be about $8 million a season.
Yep.
So that would cut him in half. I think Bobby takes that. I think he would because I think Bobby knows that he's 30.
He'll be 35 at the end of that deal.
31 years old. I don't know, man. 31. You're still kind of in his prime. He might look for $10 million. But it'd be interesting to see what they offer him and what he takes. That should be interesting. And let's be honest, Green Bay can't go. They can't give a whole lot now because they are very much over the cap. Yeah, $40 million over the cap. So it's not like they have a crap ton of money to just be given out.
Exactly.
Gonzo, what do you think about Bobby Wagner?
Oh, I think he's still a good player, and he's going to go somewhere and make a difference. I agree. I think he's going to end up in Green Bay because I think they're going to get rid of both the Smiths. I don't think they're going to sign either one of them back from free agency, and I think they're going to try to get Wagner to fill that spot.
Frankie brings up a good point.
I have heard that the Cowboys are very interested in him as well.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying because Dan Quinn is there.
Yes, because Dan Quinn.
Right. And you know he's got to be a Jerry's there. Hey, Jerry, we should go after Bobby. I coach Bobby. I know what he can do. He'll do great things on the run defense. Let's go get Bobby. You know,
I mean, you're talking about
you're
talking about an 8-time Pro Bowler, and he's only 31.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still in his prime. I mean, he's not out of his prime yet. And I can also see what Frankie was saying about him going to possibly even New England. I think maybe Bill pulls the trigger because they let go of Van Noy. I know New England let go of Van Noy, so maybe they bring in a Bobby Wagner if Bill's willing to pay the money. Because I think Bobby's still going to want 10 to $12 million. He's coming off a $16 million deal. Jerry is focused on something else though. Yes, Jerry is very much focused on, you know what? I don't really think Jerry is. I think Jerry's like, yeah, okay, you got me. All right, how much owe you in child support? Whatever. I don't know. All right, we'll see. I mean, Jerry probably don't even. Well, but I loved her, Jerry. I loved her. Oh man, that was my best Jerry Springer impersonation, but it's all good. Who is the sixth man of the year, guys? Who do we have as sixth man of the year? I will tell you, for me personally, I had Tyler Hero as a hero. Is it hero or hero? I know I'm probably saying his name wrong, but I got Tyler Hero as my sixth man. He's a leading guy coming off the bench from Miami, and he's averaging for the year 20 points. 4 rebounds and 3 assists. I mean, you can make a lot of arguments out there between Jordan Love, Crowder, a few other people out there. But I really do like the way Tyler Hero is playing. And I think he's doing a hell of a job coming off, and especially where, Miami is in first place and he's averaging 20 points coming off the bench. That's pretty damn good. How do you feel about that, Gonzo?
Yeah, I like Tyler Hero as well as the sixth man of the year. Like you said, 20 points off the bench. He's on track to be the 5th highest scoring player ever to be a reserve player in NBA history.
Yeah.
If he keeps up what he's doing. So, yeah, I think Hero's the sixth man of the year right now.
Logan?
Yeah, I like Hero. Like you said, Kevin Love's been doing a very good job for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have been, kind of surprising a lot of people. Also, I think Kelly Oubre needs to be in the discussion also, about 16 points a game coming off the bench. But I will give the edge to Tyler Hero at the moment. The Heat, very good team. We'll talk about them in a minute. But I think like Gonzo, like you said, he's just having too good of a year. And I mean, we sixpence. How many times did Lou Williams win that damn award?
Yeah.
And then Anthony Price comes in with Melo. I just don't see Melo as being the sixth man of the year.
Nah, Anthony, go. We'll come back to you in 10 minutes once you get the liquor out of your system. Come on.
Why did that put him on a 10-minute timeout?
I'm about to say, Anthony, you need to take a break from commenting for a second. Go outside, look at some grass, get some fresh air, and once you sober up, you can come on back in.
He said, just take your break. We'll talk about it. We'll cruise, whatever. Yeah, I mean, so I think we're all kind of in agreement that Hero is the guy in terms of the sixth man. And like I said, you can make a case for Jordan Love too. I mean, Jordan Love is still playing really good.
Kevin. Jordan Love ain't getting any playing time.
What did I say? Did I say Jordan Love? I don't know why I'm saying Jordan Love. Kevin, thank you. Kevin's
the one who's playing any ball right now. Jordan's still right in the
pocket. Yeah, I really should I got to keep my sports segregated. In my brain, they all get jumbled up. He said,
exactly.
Go get your mind right, Anthony. Come on.
All right, man. Hey, we're gonna keep rolling. So
dark house. Good point.
He said, so how come the Heat and the Suns don't get the respect that they deserve?
I can answer this one in 2 words.
You know what? Hey, I'm gonna let you go first, Logan. What you got for me?
Small market. That's it. I mean, it's Miami, right? One of the best places to go in the world in Florida, yet somehow they don't get any recognition. They won title after title, back with LeBron. They were a hot team. And then seemingly they fell off a cliff and no one wants to talk about the Heat anymore. Then they came to the bubble, almost won against the Lakers, right? Pushed them to their limit. And then everyone just kind of forgot about them, Jay. I mean, then here they are this year, putting in a lot of good work. And, no one gives them any respect. And as for the Suns, almost won the finals last year. Couldn't do it, fell apart, and then they came back pretty much even stronger this year with Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Ayton, and whoever else having better seasons. Cam Johnson. We like you said, markets and media, they sit there. You talk about Carmelo Anthony and the Lakers for 45 minutes, though they're not doing anything good this season. But yet here are the top, 2 of the top teams in not just their respective conferences, but in the NBA. And they can barely get a game on ABC or ESPN. That's just how it is. And that's why we put this topic in here, Jay, because both of them deserve respect. If I could have put them in there, because it would have been too many words, I would have put the Memphis Grizzlies in here also. But it's just that small market stigma, and I don't get why, because you have good players. You have Jimmy Butler, you have Chris Paul, you have Devin Booker. I mean, those are household names. If you're an NBA fan, you know those names. And you know how good they are. But for whatever reason, they just, they can't get any love or respect from the media. I don't get why.
And the thing for me, honestly, is Phoenix is like 54-13. I mean,
Phoenix is already.
Yeah, they've already clinched a playoff spot. How are we? And they clinched a playoff spot without having Devin Booker there. Because let's be honest, he was on COVID, and they also did without having Chris Paul because he's got that injured finger. And these guys are still rolling. I mean, they're not slowing down. Matter of fact, Phoenix is on a 2-game winning streak. So they just beat who did they beat? I think it was they just came off a big win. It's not coming to my brain right now.
Well, I think it was the Bucks, wasn't it?
I think it may have been the Bucks. I know they came off a big win. But at 53-13, man, how are we not giving them the love that they deserve? I mean, and let's be honest, Memphis has quietly crept in. I mean, Memphis is now sitting at number 2. I remember when Memphis was like around 4 or 5?
Right. And I mean, they're a top 3 team, like you said, in the West. Not in the East, but in the West.
We got Ben Sutherland chiming in. Sup, guys? Hey, man, we haven't heard from Ben in a hot minute. It's good to see you,
good,
Ben.
Buddy. He's saying that they should both get more respect. Then Iverson Vlogs on YouTube with a good comment saying the Suns beat the Heat last night by 21.
That's what it was. It was the Heat.
Well, they had Booker last night. But over the weekend, they beat the Bucks without Booker.
Yeah.
Right? So those are 2, the top teams in the league that they beat. And, I mean, there's a reason these teams went to the finals last year. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's my point. So you got Memphis quietly creeping up, and they're still 8 games out of first. Don't get me wrong. But I remember when Memphis was sitting around the 4th or 5th seed, right. and now they're sitting up at the number 2 spot, right behind the Lakers. I mean, right behind the Phoenix. So I mean, and don't overlook Phoenix. I mean, Memphis. Either Memphis really needs to get a little bit more respect. And the knock on Memphis is that they're so young, right? Everybody says, "Well, Memphis is so they don't have the experience," And I think Memphis needs to get more respect as well. But when I look at Miami. They're 2 games up over Milwaukee, which, by the way, I told y'all don't overlook Milwaukee because Milwaukee was sitting down at around number 5, I believe it was, at one point. when I said that, I said Milwaukee is going to be in the number 1 spot before we go into the playoffs. I promise you. And right now they're currently 2 games out of that spot. So, man, Miami's creeping up. Philadelphia crept up. Chicago obviously is done what I knew Chicago was going to do. Even though I know that you can say they don't have Caruso or stuff like that and Bridges, but at the same time, man, I mean, I just don't think Chicago is the team this year. And I think it's kind of showing, but the fact that I think Miami, I think Milwaukee, and I think Philly are the top 3 teams in the East, and then of course I would go Golden State, Memphis, and Phoenix as the top 3 teams in the West. And I think one of those or two of those, two teams out of those 6 are going to be in the finals. We'll see. But I tell you what, I definitely agree with you guys that they should. Gonzo, how you feel about it, brother?
I think they both get disrespected, and especially how does a team that's already clinched a playoff spot, how are they kind of flying under the radar?
Exactly.
Right.
That don't make no sense. It is some of it is the small market. I think also some of it is neither team really has that big household, big superstar that your casual fan is going to know that name as soon as they hear it. I mean, they have big stars for guys like us that cover sports and watch sports all the time, but some of your casual fans still don't know who Devin Booker is. I mean, he's still building his legacy to get to be all the way up there as one of them top superstars. Yeah. So I think that has something to do with it as well. And for Phoenix a little bit too, being out west, that make a lot of their games are on so late that on the East Coast, they're hard to watch sometimes.
Yeah, they are.
I know Jay struggles to stay awake for those 10 o'clocks.
Bro, you don't know. It's rough out here for the whole people, man. But, yeah, like Sanders says, keep on sleeping on Miami. We got a shot to win it all just as much as anybody else. I agree.
I say, Sander, you are the reason from our show on Tuesday why I decided to put this topic in here just for you, buddy. Because he went on the show today. He said in about a 5-minute rant, he was talking about how the Heat don't get no respect and no one covers them. Well, here you go, Sander. Are you happy now? That's all I gotta say.
Hey, Stat Guy's back with us. Stat Guy, you there?
My daughter gave herself a bloody nose.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Well, hopefully it's not too bad. So let me ask you a question, Stat Guy. So we're talking about Phoenix and Miami not getting enough respect. How do you feel about that? Is he still there?
You there?
Stat Guy. All right, we'll come back to Stat Guy.
Yeah, we'll keep going.
I'll tell you what, man. It's been that kind of a show, man.
Hey, it's wild. That's all I'm saying. We're living up to our name, Jay. We got bloody noses. We got some heat in the comment. I don't know what's going on tonight. Something's in the water.
It's always in the water, Logan, especially here in Georgia. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I do think, you can't overlook them. You definitely cannot overlook them. I think Miami definitely has as good a shot as anybody to get in there. I don't want to think that we're trying to overlook that. So we'll see, man. Hey, there's a lot of season left to play, and we'll see where they go from here. Moving on, we're gonna get on over here, and we're gonna go into Kyrie. Will Kyrie Irving continue his momentum the remainder of the season? And that's a good question, guys. Honestly, will Kyrie do that? I think at this point, Kyrie just came off a 50-point game. Kyrie hasn't had bad games. It's just he hasn't played in a whole hell of a lot either because of the vaccination issue. So, he's still only allowed to believe, unless I'm wrong, he's only allowed to play in the away games, not on the home games yet. Correct. So we only see him periodically. But I think in the periodic games that he has played in, he's played well. And I don't think that momentum is going to drop off as long as Kyrie doesn't do Kyrie-like things. In other words, doesn't take off on a sabbatical again. What do you guys think, Gonzo?
Well, it just depends on what you mean by momentum. Is he going to keep scoring 50 a night? No, I don't think that. But I think he's still going to be his 20 to 25 every night when he gets to play. But I do think having to sit out them home games, though, that can mess with your rhythm.
Yeah.
And that could cause him to go into a shooting slump. He's played pretty good so far, but I don't think the Nets are going to go anywhere if they don't get him full time. And and Ben Simmons reportedly is practicing with the Nets now. So it might not be too long before we see him on the court.
Interesting.
I agree. Logan?
Yeah. Before I talk about Kyrie, we got the big game. We're not covering on the show, but I just want to say we got the Nets and the Sixers tonight in Brooklyn. So that's going to be a good show or a good game, hopefully. But I mean, like we're all kind of in agreement here. It's hard to build momentum when you're only playing in half the games. It really is.
It really is.
I mean, Kyrie could go out there and score 50 every night if he wants to, honestly, because he's shown it before in the past. Obviously he did it the other night. And I mean, we all know he's a great player. It just sucks that the home fans don't get to see him. We don't get to watch him at home. And I mean, the Nets, I feel like they need to get this win tonight against the Sixers because they are still struggling to maintain playoff hopes. But thankfully it's not a home game, right? So Kyrie is going to be able to play. But I think that like I said, he's still a solid player. He's still doing his thing. But I feel like we're just not getting that full potential like we've been getting over the past couple of years due to all the vaccination, where he's not getting his vaccine and he can't be able to play at home. Maybe that'll change next season. It looks like it's not going to change for this season. But it is going to be even tougher for the Brooklyn Nets.
I'll tell you before I give it up to Gonzo, look at it. He's only played 3 games since February. Only 3.
Yeah.
And the 3 games that he's played, the first one was Milwaukee. He got 38 points, 5 and 5. And then he played against Boston in March, and he got 19 points, 4 and 6 on the rebounds and assists.
Solid.
And then, of course, against Chicago on the 8th of March. Not Chicago. Against Charlotte on the 8th of March, he scored. That was a 50-point game, 3 and 6 assists. So, like I said, when he plays, he plays.
Yep.
And just when he don't play, he don't play. And obviously, he's due to this vaccination, he can only play every once in a while. Gonzo, what do you think?
We've already done this one.
Yeah, we already talked about it, Joe.
Oh, did Gonzo already go?
Yeah, he was first one to go.
Stat guy.
Is he muted?
I don't know. I don't think he's muted. Stat guy, you there?
It says he's in the show, but he might have his mic off or something, Jay.
Stat guy, check your mic.
That might be it.
All right, well, if you come in the show, let us know.
Just say something. Just say hoopla or some keyword to let us know.
He said, just say gingerbread if you're in the show.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, he said my mic is on. We don't hear you.
Yeah, we don't hear you, but
keep working on your mic and then let us know.
Maybe
that's okay. Hey, I have mic issues too.
Come back in.
Yeah, so I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with Kyrie, and then when Stat Guy gets his mic fixed, we'll get his take on Kyrie Irving as well. Let me see if I can get him back in here. Hold on. Hey, you there, Stat Guy?
Yeah.
Gingerbread man.
Perfect.
All right, now we're cooking. Hey, what do you think about Kyrie Irving?
I mean, the guy better produce the way he's produced the rest of the year because Harden's gone. So if he wants to help the Brooklyn Nets even attempt to make the playoffs, he's got to shoulder the load that Harden was carrying. And this is the one team that I said from the beginning, as frustrating as they have been this season, they are also the most scary team in the Eastern Conference for the main reason they don't care if they get home court or not, because if they actually get home court, Kyrie Irving can only play 3 games as opposed to 4. And if you get Kyrie Irving for 4 games as opposed to 3, you have a better chance to win that series. And we've already seen how good this team is when Kevin Durant plays. Brooklyn is a very scary team when Durant is healthy, and as long as they're in the playoffs, they're going to be a threat to beat anybody.
I absolutely agree with you, and that's I've been said along too. Is they're going to have to be down towards the bottom in order to take advantage of having Kyrie. So I absolutely agree with you. The other question was Phoenix Suns and Miami Heat. Why are they not getting the respect they deserve, Stat Guy?
Miami has never gotten the respect they deserve since LeBron James left. And every single year, you see how great of a head coach Eric Spoelstra is. He's not only the most underrated coach in the NBA, but he's the most undervalued coach. And when you look at his winning percentage, he's got a top 5 winning percentage. So the guy flat out knows how to coach. He knows how to put a system together, and he knows how to create a culture. Phoenix, it's Phoenix. When you look at the Western Conference, despite being a terrible team, everyone still talks about the Lakers. Despite struggling and losing, 8 of their last 10 or whatever it is, everyone still talks about Golden State. It's not that Phoenix is not getting the respect they deserve. It's just Golden State and Los Angeles are going to take all that conversation in the Western Conference because that's how it's always been.
That's true. That's excellent points. And I agree. In the Western Conference, I think they get overshadowed because for some reason, like you said, we put so much emphasis on the Lakers and other teams that we overlook the ones that are actually making the damn difference. So hopefully that will change, and I think that will change. I think Phoenix Suns are going to have to win a championship if they want that narrative to change, though. Would you agree?
I don't know if they have to win a championship, but I think they need to at least get to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we're going to roll on over to Major League Baseball now. I think that's our next topic, if I'm not mistaken. No, we have one more. We have Alex, but this will be a quick one. Alex Ovechkin, third on the all-time in goals in NHL history. Can he beat Gretzky? What did he say?
You called him Alex Ovechkin. You said Alex Ovechkin, and I said it's Ovechkin.
Yeah, exactly. Ovechkin. Thank you for the correction. I'm sorry that my I don't even know. Is he Ukrainian?
A great question. I do not have the answer to at the moment.
That sounds like a Ukrainian type name. Ovechkin.
Let's see. No, actually, Jay, he was born where Ukraine is not having the good time in. He was born out there in Moscow, Russia.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, okay, that makes sense too. Yeah, I'm about to say that is definitely polar opposites. But, Ovechkin, I think he's not too far off. Correct me if I'm wrong, Logan, but he's not too far off from eclipsing Jaeger. I think he's only he's not very far behind Jaeger at all. And I had
he actually passed Jaromir Jagr on Tuesday.
Did he pass him?
Yeah, he was one goal. He was one goal behind, and he picked up 2 goals in the game against Calgary to move ahead of Jaromir Jagr.
Okay. Because I thought he was right. I mean, I knew he was kind of in there, or he was at least close to it. I had him at he had I think 766. He had 766 goals at 1,253 games. You're right, and Jaeger had 1,733 games to get 766. So he actually got it sooner than what Jaeger did. And Gordie Howe is who I'm thinking of. Gordie Howe is the next guy on the list. Yeah, Gordie Howe is at 801. He's at 766. He's 36 years old. I think he catches Gordie Howe. I think he passes Gordie Howe to become number 2. I don't know if he's young enough to still be able to catch Gretzky because Gretzky is at 894. So that puts him at 128.
He passes Gretzky.
You think he does?
He passes Gretzky because he stays healthy for the most part. And if he's within striking distance, he's going to play until he passes Gretzky.
Okay. Hey, you're right. That could definitely happen then because he's only 128 goals from that. And if he's averaging 36 goals, that means by the time if he can stay in the league till he's 40 on that pace, then he will definitely pass Gretzky for sure.
He's only had one season in his 13 years where he's had less than 32 goals.
Right.
So the guy's going to give you 30 goals every single year. So if he averages even 35 goals a year for the next 4 years, that puts him at 140 goals, which would put him ahead of Gretzky.
Yeah.
Right. So he just has to basically keep this same pace, and before he either at 40 or before 40, he should pass Gretzky. Gonzo, what do you think about Alex Ovechkin?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to catch Gretzky. I don't think he's going to be able to keep that pace up for the next 4 to 5 years. I just think as physical as hockey is, I know he's been pretty good or lucky or however you want to say it on not getting hurt so far. But the older you get and the more you play, there's always that risk gets a little higher, especially in a sport like hockey. I don't think he's going to catch Gretzky.
You haven't watched him play, have you? Don't be hating on greatness.
He said,
I'm
"Put
not hating
fingers
on him. I just
on
don't think he's
his
going to catch
name."
Gretzky.
If you count what he did in Russia, he has over 1,000 goals.
Yeah, that's true.
And kind of go off that, it's kind of like with Ichiro, right? He should be the all-time hits leader if you count what he did in Japan,
Yeah.
right?
So I mean, the
Like,
guy's been keeping up his pace since he was 18 years old when he started playing professional in Russia.
Isn't that crazy? That's crazy to me. How well you can, because hockey is a very demanding sport.
oh yeah. I mean, I think that he'll beat Gordie Howe like very, very soon. He's only 38, maybe some on goals away from passing him. He'll beat that real quick. And like that guy said, I think that he has a very good chance of beating Gretzky as long as he can stay healthy. And I mean, let's not forget he's played about 200 games less than what Gretzky had to do to get to where he's at, right? Gretzky played in 1,487 games. Ovechkin's currently played in 1,254. So, I mean, that's still a lot of time left if he does, if he still continues to play the amount he does and score the way he has his entire career. He's got a very good shot at beating. I'm not going to say win, but I think that he's going to beat Howe. I mean, next season I could see it, honestly. I think he'd have a very good year. Also finish up strong this year. And, I mean, maybe, a couple of seasons from now, if he keeps doing what he's been doing, he can definitely get close to, if not past Wayne Gretzky. So I think he's got a very good shot at it, too.
It's going to be fun to watch. That's going to be something to keep an eye on as the season keeps going. Excuse me. Now we're at MLB Player Association's update. So as you guys know, as everybody knows now, MLB has finally come to an agreement with the Players Association in terms of a tentative set CBA. And right now, I know a couple of the terms that were agreed upon was the minimum salary is going to go from $570 to $700K. And $50 million will be distributed $50 million will be distributed among younger players who have not reached arbitration. Also, it says postseason will be extended to 12 teams. Advertising will now be on the jerseys as well as the helmets. And 45 days they will have to be implemented for the rule changes. And the three that I know are going to be implemented are the pitch clock to 14 seconds, banning the shift, and bigger bases. National League will adopt the DH, the draft lottery.
I said, yeah.
Yeah. And the draft lottery will be implemented to discourage tanking. Draft pick inducements will be done to discourage service time manipulation. They will limit the number of times a player can be optioned to the minor leagues, and they're going to keep it at one season. The number of times they can be optioned to the minor leagues in a season. Player salaries will be dropped despite growing players' salaries that were dropped despite growing revenues, and that's basically what led to the lockout, or at least one of the reasons that led to the lockout. I think baseball will return to itself in about 5 years. So they got 5 years basically on the CBA to before the next CBA will be decided on. So we got 5 years at least of baseball until then, folks. Woo. Stat guy, I'm going to start with you first. How do you feel about the whole Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball Players Association coming finally coming into an agreement on those topics?
It's about bleeping time, I'm going to start with.
Yeah, I agree.
They've had 3 years to figure their shit out, and they couldn't figure it out in 3 years. So I guess, not playing baseball for, 3 weeks of spring, 4 weeks of spring training now was enough to get them to be like, hey, maybe we need to grow up here and figure some stuff out. But the whole 5-year thing is what scares me the most. I don't know how familiar any of you are with like CBAs in the NFL, the NHL, or anything like that, but most CBA agreements are on a 10-year period.
Yeah.
So the fact that this one is only on a 5-year period worries me a little bit, to the point where maybe they did not really settle the air as much as they wanted to. Right. And they're kind of settling on a 5-year window right now just to basically play baseball at this point. And I'm worried that, in 5 years, if they didn't agree on some things now, they're not going to agree on it 5 years from now, and it's going to put them in the same situation as they were in this year, except about 4 or 5 times worse.
Yeah, I can see that. Gonzo?
I agree with that because I agree with what Dustin's saying that in 5 years we're going to be exactly in the same spot.
Mhm.
I mean, because the vote was only 26-12.
Yep, 26-12, and 8 of the 12 players came from the same team.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't like it was. They had all the support, so I can see us being in the same spot in 5 years. They're going to be in strike again, fighting over the CBA, and then they'll threaten to shorten the season, and we'll do this all over again, and they'll finally work it out. Hopefully, they don't keep doing it because if they keep doing it, they're just going to keep losing fans.
Absolutely.
Now, on the pitch clock, they implemented it? I thought that was something that might get implemented in like 2023.
The pitch clock is not going to be implemented until 2023.
Okay, that's what I
We
thought.
still got another year.
But I mean, in my opinion, it's completely pointless, anyways. Because if you look at the minor league baseball, who already has the pitch clock set in place, it made games go faster by an average of like 4 minutes and 38 seconds.
Yeah,
that's like 2 commercial breaks. That's
Exactly.
that's not nothing.
So it's really not that big of a speed up game.
No.
The only rule change is the universal DH, right?
You're right.
The
I mean, they already
universal
had that in
DH,
place.
and they're going back to the 9-inning doubleheaders instead of the 7.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're getting rid of the ghost runner on second.
Yep.
Like they did last season. So
I like that ghost runner on second.
Now, what about
I do. I actually did too because it put more strategy into the game.
Right. Yeah, I was actually kind of a fan of that, honestly. And also the 7-inning doubleheaders, I didn't have an issue with that, really. I mean, because I know the players want to get out of there quicker. But, I mean, go back to 9, how it was traditionally, that's fine with me. I'm excited we're getting a full 162-game season. Because
I'm still trying to figure out how they're going to pull that off.
They're going to have a bunch of doubleheaders because.
But you have to take into account though interleague play. What about these teams the first couple of weeks of the season that had interleague play?
And then
how are you gonna fit that into a doubleheader, knowing that you only face them once a year?
Yeah, and then they said they're adding 3 extra days on at the end of the
season
too.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how they've got it all figured out. The games are going to start, I believe, April 7th. So that's
April 7th, and spring training starts next Thursday, the first spring games.
Yeah, so guys, in under 30 days, we're going to have baseball regular season back. I don't know how many. There's probably not going to be that many spring training games, honestly.
13.
13. Yeah, that's not nothing. I mean, I don't really care to watch spring training much. I mean, I feel like they don't need to play that many games, and I mean, I feel like that'll be fine. Give them more time to recover. And
you know what it's for, though, right?
What's it for? Just conditioning.
It's for all the minor league. It's for all the minor league players to get competition because minor leaguers don't actually have a camp.
Right. Oh yeah, that's 100%. I mean, that was kind of the bigger thing is that we talked about here on the show is that what are the minor leagues going to do? Because I mean, they were still going to have a season even before. But I mean, what if you're right on the verge of being a really good AAA prospect and a really good spring training could boost you up to the majors? And up till today, we weren't going to have that opportunity, but thankfully we are now. So it's going to be interesting to see. As for the rule changes, I'm glad they went back with the universal DH. That was fun back in 2020. I don't care to see pitchers hit. I don't care about the strategy part of it. I'd rather get another hitter in there that gives me another 20 home runs on my team than watching a pitcher try and hit. Pitch clock, like you said, it's a nice concept, but it isn't going to add too much. Ultimately, I get that. I forget who it was. The comment said with the Yu Darvish rule.
That was my comment.
Yeah. So we're going to call it that from now on. The wider bases, they're using it for, like I said, for kind of safety reasons. We don't want pitchers to get their ankles stepped on anymore, and also they want to encourage more stealing because that's kind of gone the wayside in recent years. I don't know how much that's going to play in effect, honestly. But we'll see. But overall, I mean, there's a lot of changes that happen. The international draft is going to be a thing now.
That's something that I'm actually looking forward to the most.
That's going to be interesting. They're going to have
that'll be interesting.
And that was one of the
because
bigger
that
things.
levels the playing field.
Right, and that was one of the bigger things that they had been discussing in recent days is if they wanted to implement it or not. They finally agreed to it. So I think that's really going to help out certain teams, and that's going to be fun whenever it first starts. But
July 25th.
There you go. So
I'll be honest with you, but for me, it was the draft lottery was one of the biggest things I like because I think it does discourage tanking.
Right.
So I think it's going to keep it more competitive. But I will say this: I cannot wait to see Frankie get disappointed all over again with New York.
Hey, Jay, you know what that means? We get to see Frankie the Yankee come back.
Yeah,
he's been on.
But will we, Logan? But will we see Frankie the Yankee? Because maybe he's too depressed to come back on because he doesn't want to have to face the fact that he's losing. I don't think Frankie comes on. I think Frankie goes into hiding and starts crying because the Yankees just aren't going to be that good.
Well, I'm just going to refer to what Frankie said. He said Logan is on top of all of us for
That's
the year.
true. That's it. This is Logan's year.
I still got a little bit of bragging rights until October, so I'm going to milk it as long as I can, fellas.
Hey, listen, if I was you, I would milk it too. So right now, Logan is still the reigning champ, and that's just the way it is.
Sandy said it's a wrap next time I come on. He said you got something bad about the Yankees?
He said it's a wrap next time.
We'll get you back here soon.
Osendo Royo says it's a wrap.
We'll get you back on here soon, buddy.
Yeah, we'll definitely get it back on. All right, folks, we're at the last topic of the day. This is what I like to call the history hour, and this is where I get educated by my fellow cohorts and stuff. So let's talk a little wrestling.
And before you get started, Jay, I just want to say, after our show on Tuesday, I asked Jay explicitly, what kind of match do you want to watch? Do you want something technical, high-flying, hardcore? He said, show me something hardcore. Well, I mean, you just see on the screenshot there, I gave him something hardcore.
Bro.
So Jay.
Bro, that ECW Taipei
don't get no better hardcore than the old ECW.
Oh, yeah.
Bro. They had straight glass on their hands. So you know that's going to be something crazy.
Let me explain to the viewers, right? So this was a Taipei death match between Axel and Ron, real-life brothers. And what they did was they would tape up their fist, dip it in super glue, and then dip that in broken glass and whatnot. And, I mean, you could see them going around the ring, Jay, in the beginning. They were having fans feel on it, and you could see them be like, oh, God. And then one punch in, you just see the blood start flying. One punch. So that's how you know that they weren't messing around with this. So, but I want to get your thoughts on this, though. This wasn't much of a match. It was just more of a straight brawl.
It was a straight brawl. There was very little high flying and all that kind of stuff. Now, they did bring out some tacks. So they brought out thumbtacks in this match, too, now. Yep. And they laid out the thumbtacks. So they did do thumbtacks. I will say this. At one point, Axel was peeling the glass off of his wrist and literally carving out his brother's face with the glass. And I was like, get the hell out of here. Because you know that's got to hurt. You know that's going to hurt. Listen, they use chairs. They're doing all the typical wrestling stuff. But what made it just so gruesome is the way that they used the glass in their hands and the way they carved up each other's faces. And I'm like, man, you know what? Hey, listen, if I had a brother, I don't know if I'm carving up his face in glass, but, hey, these dudes did not care one bit. And matter of fact, it got to a point where they even kicked – well, the first time he hit him, he put a cut on Ian put a cut on Axel's face.
Right.
And so then the referee stepped in, which I thought was this goofy-looking nerdy dude. I forget his name, but he stepped in. He said, hey, the match can't go on.
Hey,
Alfonso. Yeah, Alfonso.
What did you think of Alfonso's shirt, the bow tie?
Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, what the hell?
Jay, that might be our assignment for Saturday's show is Bill Alfonso, the referee. His whole thing was he wanted to play by the rules. He hated all this hardcore crap. He wanted just good old clean wrestling, right? None of this stuff. And so that's why he saw him like, there's too much blood. We can't go. And that's why all the fans hated him.
Yeah.
But if I can find a match for Saturday, he had a match against Beulah McGillicuddy, and probably one of the most bloodiest. It's even more bloodier than this, Jay. And
what was funny though, Logan?
A pint of blood loss.
They kicked Alfonso out, and then the commissioner Gordon comes in and says, "All right, let's go."
Yeah, he said So I think he left the building, right? Let's get it going.
They did, Logan. Those dudes got it going, and it was amazing. It was really good stuff, man. And I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a good wrestling match. It wasn't very long. I think it was maybe like
it was
maybe like 10 minutes long, 10 to 15 minutes long, and that was about it.
Yeah, I think it was 15 minutes long with the entrances and everything.
Yeah, and with the stoppage and whatnot. But yeah, they could. I knew it was only going to be a 30-minute classic with rest holds, and ain't no way.
Yeah, they had a small brawl out there. Like there was two other wrestling groups that came out. They kind of had a small skirmish, and then that went away. And then of course, then they got back to the match, and then that was pretty much the end of it. But overall, if you want to see some blood get squirted around, just Google this match, and I think you'll enjoy it.
What did you think about it, Chris?
No, I enjoyed it. You picked this match?
Yeah, I picked this one for him.
Another solid match choice by Logan. Then,
I had to give Jason the classics.
You can't go wrong with old school ECW, especially if you want to see hardcore.
Yeah,
I mean they're the kings. They're the kings of hardcore.
If this is your type of wrestling, you're gonna like it. If you don't like it, you'd hate ECW. That's all I got. But yeah, I mean, it was a good fight. I'm not saying this is a match. It was just a lot of punches, really, and then like Jay said, some carving. But yeah, I mean, it was entertaining. You can say that, and there's a reason these two won Feud of the Year in I think '95. So
yeah, I'm going to an independent show here at the end of this month, and they're doing a Taipei death match.
Really?
But what they're doing, they're wrapping their hands, dipping it in glue, and then they're dipping them in thumbtacks.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I think it might be like a triple threat.
Ooh,
So
that'd be interesting.
It should be pretty cool.
I know, and then I wasn't able to look it up, Jay, but there was just kind of doing some more research on this type of match. There is a John Moxley in AEW, right? We saw him.
Dude, you gotta go watch that.
Yeah, he had a match. He had a drunken Taipei death match where they're required to get drunk before the show. Or no, they would take shots in between each punch or something like that. And
have you seen the one with him?
Level.
Have you seen the one with him and like Nick Gage?
Yeah, Jay. We'll show you maybe some CCW with light tubes and stuff like that.
They had pizza cutters, dude. Moxley almost got his tongue cut off with a pizza cutter.
Oh damn!
For real.
I mean, Jay, I know you wouldn't see Hulk Hogan doing this, but
we're giving you a cutter on the face and shit. They're crazy.
We're giving you a wide use of wrestling here. That's what we're here to show you all the different types, so you can figure out what you like.
All right, well, we definitely gonna get some more wrestling in. Final thoughts, folks. Gonzo, final thoughts, brother.
It's been a great day today. Got baseball back. Going into it's almost Friday, going into a big weekend in sports. So, hey, good day.
Logan, final thoughts, brother.
Yeah, man. We got some, like I said, happy baseball's back. We got some good games tonight, like I mentioned. The Nets and Sixers. The Sixers fans are already booing Ben Simmons out the building. Also in hockey, my team, the Hurricanes, have a tough game against the Colorado Avalanche. Going to be a good matchup there. And man, we got some good sports coming up, and Saturday's going to be a great show, man. Also,
there's a bunch of college basketball on as well.
Oh yeah, we got all the tournament finals are all going to be on Saturday. We'll have that as a top and just kind of recapping and predicting those.
The Nets are up.
Yeah, I said we're getting ready to get into it.
6 on Philly.
First quarter, I'm guessing.
Yeah, yes.
I think it started at like 7:30.
Yeah, it just started a few minutes ago.
All right.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting because you're right, man. We're getting ready to get into March Madness, so things are about to heat up pretty intensely, which should be really interesting to see.
Brackets come out this Sunday, don't they?
I believe so. Yes, because all the tournament finals wrap up on Saturday night. So then we should be good to go then because we'll get all the chances.
What exactly is the first day of March Madness?
Big Ten Finals is on Sunday afternoon.
Sunday, okay. I know the ACC one. I think it's on Saturday. Yeah. So I mean,
I think they announced it like after the Big Ten games.
Okay, cool.
On Sunday.
Yeah, and then March Madness is right around the corner. It's gonna be fun.
It'll be like next Tuesday or Wednesday. They'll start playing.
That's when you get to stand in front of your TV all day. And if you're at school, pull up on your phone and just say, "Oh, I'm looking up." What day
does that start on again? The one where the actual bracket of the NCAA, the first round. What is the first
game? The first game of March Madness starts on. I'm looking here on Google. Sunday, March 13th.
March 13th. Okay.
So
All right.
about a week
We
from
are
Sunday.
ready to go then.
All
All right, folks. Hey, we appreciate you joining in, and this has pretty much been our show, and we are going to have a Gonzo, you're coming back Saturday. I don't care what you say. You're coming back Saturday. If I got to come find you,
you got to complete the streak of like 2 weeks.
But, hey, if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and share our stuff. We always appreciate that. We appreciate everybody coming on today. Gonzo, Logan, Frankie for dropping in some stuff, and obviously Dustin Reese, Stat Guy. Appreciate Stat Guy. I know he had to get off early to go to a basketball game. But we appreciate him hopping on, and we thank everybody, and we will catch you on Saturday. Until next time, we are out of here, folks.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we're making up plays. We're talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays.